Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlot Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel, and this is Tanner Dysktra, who is my worst enemy, so I would wish this upon him. And today we're here to
Uh,
talk about Send Help. It's a new film from Sam Raimi, Tanner. We don't get a chance to do this
hmm,
very often. And we're here to talk about this island survival thriller film. But of course, if you
yes.
have seen Send Help, what do you share your thoughts about the movie with us? Feel free to leave those thoughts in the comment section or join our Discord server, which has a link in the description right there. It's called a hyperlink. You can click it, and it'll take you somewhere
Ooh,
else on the World Wide Web.
it's like a link, but really active.
Whoa,
It's really
really
just bouncing off the
insane.
walls. Yeah.
Yes, join that if you want to talk directly to us. But
Mm.
Tanner.
Yes, 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 yes.
What do you think of Send Help?
Tucker, Send Help is just a fucking delight of a movie. I mean, I had a rollicking good time with this one. It is Sam Raimi unchained from IP and pre-existing franchise or property. His last two movies have been that, which is crazy to think about. I mean, it was we talked Doctor Strange and the
We did,
Multiverse
yeah,
of
years
Madness,
ago.
of course, and then years and years and years before that, his previous movie was Oz the Great and Powerful.
That's such a long time ago, Tanner.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that those are his last two
Tanner,
movies, and
that
one
was
of them came
before
out
we
over a
really
decade
cared
ago.
about movies.
Yeah, well, we were 12 years old when that
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
came
I
out or
didn't see
something. Anyway,
it.
so this is really a return to form, something we haven't seen from Raimi
Yeah,
since something like Drag Me to Hell, a movie that I also quite enjoy. I think it very much hits those same notes while elevating them a little bit thanks to the talents of our two main actors. There's really only two characters in
yeah.
this film. Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien play Linda Little
D.O.B.
and Bradley something. What's his name?
Bradley
Bradley
Pester,
Preston.
Nesta, Prester, Prested,
Yeah. Yeah.
Pesto.
Yes. But they are those two are great, and then Sam Raimi's just cutting loose and doing exactly what you want him to do here with his high energy, antic, manic horror stuff. He even sneaks a scary ghoul woman in there,
Yeah,
which
just for
he
fun.
loves to do.
Yeah, just for
Yeah,
fun. But you like it, is what I'm gathering.
I like it a lot. I like it a
Okay.
lot.
Yeah, I also think it's great. And for me, it's among my favorite of Sam Raimi's works because the honest to God truth. What we're doing,
Hmm.
I'm speaking my truth. I don't know if I'm a big Sam
Right, here
Raimi
we
fan.
go.
I think
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the
yeah.
his Spider-Man trilogy I think is good but overrated. I
Mhm.
don't like Evil Dead 1 especially, and I actually don't like Drag Me to Hell. And so like there's like all these like classic Raimi touchstones that I either am mixed on or am not a fan of. I've got a
Mhm.
couple. I've got a couple favorites. I really love
Yeah,
Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness is awesome. Evil Dead 2, you like Evil Dead 2?
It's better than Evil Dead.
Sure.
Um,
Well, yes, it
yeah,
is.
yeah. But yeah, so he's not really my guy, frankly, and I also don't like
Mhm.
Multiverse of Madness. Actually,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
another
that's
that's
a good
another
one.
one.
Yeah.
So I don't go into one of these Sam Raimi movies being like, all right, this is really going to speak to me. But I think this one feels more focused than a lot of his works, which I think feel a little bit like crazier. This one is more restrained, and I mean that in a positive way. It feels more character focused to me. I was actually really surprised by
Sure.
some of the character writing that we had going on here, the dynamic between the characters that I think ended up feeling more fleshed out and believable than I expected. I think it's shot well. I think it's made well. I think it's acted well. It's just a good concept executed very, very well. So I have little complaints, though I will say, Tanner,
Hmm.
when it goes a little off the rails at the end and they start fighting, I'm like, there's Sam Raimi. I thought I was watching someone else's movie the last 90 minutes. There he is, and I'm not. No, I don't know if I'm feeling this. I don't know if I'm feeling this.
And Tucker, your hater punk trash is what I'm hearing right now. Your hater punk trash. No, I mean like that's the bread and butter. That's what I come to the movie for. That's what I come to a Sam Raimi picture for. Is that kind of stuff. But no, you're right. He does withhold it for a good amount of
Oh
time.
yeah, most of the movie.
Uh,
There's a
in a
couple
lot
of
of it,
moments of like intensity, but
yeah,
like there, it's not until the last like 20 minutes of the movie where shit really goes
exactly.
fucking sideways.
And for most of it, it is this kind of um, heightened comedy of manners almost, just because the power dynamic flip is kind
Yeah,
of the key to this film. Is that you have Rachel McAdams playing Linda, who is this woman in I don't want to say accounting because it's not accounting. They
no,
make a
it's
point of
strategy
saying
and
that.
planning, I believe.
strategy and planning
Yeah.
for this company. The CEO of which has recently passed. He's handed down the mantle to his son, who is portrayed by Dylan O'Brien. Dylan O'Brien, wants to pass her over, give some high-ranking positions to his golf buddies, to his college buddies. And by happenstance, they happen to get on this plane to go to a Bangkok conference or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
There's a
Plane
merger.
crashes.
There's a fucking thing. It's money. I don't know.
Exactly. Plane crashes, they end up on the island, and Linda, wouldn't you know it, is like a survivalist expert. She
Yeah, yeah.
obsessed, wants to go on Survivor, like reads all these books we see in her apartment. And the power dynamic is really, really fun to see flip there. I think McAdams and O'Brien really have a fun time playing
Yeah.
that switch and that dynamic.
Yeah.
Just because like she is, she's quite meek and quite, inconfident in that sort of opening act,
Yeah.
and he is like he's an asshole boss. He's like a
Yeah.
sniveling like 30-something millennial kind of guy, and it's fun to see that exchange happen.
Yeah. So to talk a little bit about the opening section,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it is really hard to watch. And I don't mean this
Sure.
in like a negative way. It's like,
Okay.
oh, like you kind of get why people are like kind of pushed away by her. She's like
Yeah.
too eager, but like almost, it doesn't almost feel like in a genuine way. Like she's got like this energy to her. She's trying really hard, and everyone's like, yeesh. And then she just like,
Mm-hmm.
she's really fucking cringe. And I was watching this stuff and I like had my hand over my, like, oh, God.
Uh-huh.
But that's the point. Like, I'm not saying this
Yes.
as a negative thing. It's like, you set up this character and this dynamic where the office is sort of uncomfortable with her. She is skilled, but only in this very specific way, and certainly not socially. And so I like that setup. And I like it specifically because it's not a huge amount of the movie. It's uncomfortable to watch, but again, that's the intent. But then
Right.
where I think this movie succeeds best for me is watching Linda gain her confidence almost immediately. And I think that
Oh,
is
yeah.
what I didn't expect. Like I knew the power dynamic was going to flip. I knew that she was going
Right.
to be the one that had to teach him some things and like put him in his place. But seeing how quickly she does that and how quickly she like this feels like what she was always wanting to do. Like the
Mm-hmm.
life that she always wanted to live, and she's just been like kept in mothballs for her entire life, and now she's
Exactly.
finally able to come out of her shell and use these skills she's really been training in and passionate about, and watching her like eyes light up as she like gets really excited about doing something, about making things,
Yeah, like
about
building a shelter and
yeah.
collecting water and like starting a fire or whatever.
Mhm.
Like Rachel McAdams plays all of this to an absolute T, including that stuff that you mentioned at the beginning. It's a fine line to walk
Yeah,
for you
yeah,
to be like, well, I could see why everyone is a little put off by Linda. Like
yeah.
I'm not. They're not like completely off base, but you're also like, well, I feel for her
Yeah,
still.
no, of course.
She's still trying to fit in, but she's just too over eager. I think is a good word for
Sure.
it that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
used.
Mhm.
But no, like there is a moment that happens. It's after Dylan O'Brien wakes up.
Mhm.
I would say, and
Let's see if your mind is my mind. I'm thinking of a moment.
well, it's a very like directing moment where it's she finds this waterfall or whatever,
Oh, sure. Not the moment I was thinking of, but
and
okay.
sure, and like she plays this moment that this is not an original thought either. I'm stealing this sort of allegory from our friend Sam, who I
Mm.
watched it with, who
Tanner,
said.
they don't know, Sam. You could just say these things and steal, and no one would know.
Yeah,
Sam
I'm an
doesn't
honest
watch
man,
these.
Tucker. I'm an honest man. Tucker, I don't want to end up like Bradley Preston. Okay, I don't
Whoa.
want to steal any
You
ideas.
are kind of the Bradley Preston of my life. I've always been saying
Okay,
this.
okay. But anyway, she finds this waterfall. And, she's sort of like bathing in it or whatever, and she looks at this puddle on the ground, and it's a moment where Rachel McAdams realizes that she looks like Rachel McAdams. Like obviously they've been sort of like trying to make her look a little bit more homely
Yeah.
for the opening
They're
act of the movie.
deglamming her, Tanner. Let's
Certainly. But like, her skin is cleared up and she has a nice
yeah.
tan going and her hair has sort of like blown out a little bit and you're like she is truly living her best life.
Yeah.
Like and she realizes it in that moment. And that's
Mhm.
kind of the moment where it also clicks sort of the core conflict of the movie is that Linda does not want to leave the
Correct,
island.
yeah.
She is not looking for help off of the island whereas Preston definitely or Bradley definitely is.
Yeah, yeah. The moment I was thinking about
Sure, yeah.
is one of the most impressive moments of acting in the entire film, and really shows Rachel McAdams as this confident performer that I've seen in a lot of things, but I don't know if I've paid too close attention
Yeah,
to her
yeah.
skills as an actor. It's this moment where uh, she's realizing that she's confident. She's realizing that she's happy here, and she sits down on the edge of the beach when as like the sun is going down, and she's got her head in her hands like this. She's like kind of like
Mhm.
hugging herself, and she's like every emotion she's ever experienced is crashing onto her face, and she's like over emotional because it's like maybe kind of terrifying to her. She's with
Mhm.
someone she's not comfortable with, but she knows that she can't, like, she has it in her to do this. And so she starts like laughing and crying at the same time,
Mhm.
and like hiding her hand behind her head behind her hands and stuff. I'm like, that is like a powerful moment, totally wordless, of what this person with a unique set of skills and a unique
Mhm.
place in cult in like society, like, you know, she doesn't have any friends, she doesn't have a family that we see, she doesn't have a relationship, but that
Mhm.
this is who she is inside, and she's like finally having this chance to like unlock that, and she's like realizing, oh, I actually like this. Maybe I shouldn't like it, but I actually
Mhm.
do. And so like this is a really
Sure.
complicated moment of emotion, which again, I've seen a bunch of Sam Raimi movies. This is like the ninth one I've seen. I don't think of many like acting emotion moments like that are
Mm.
wordless,
Mhm.
that are very human and grounded. This felt like very believable that someone would just be like sitting there and like having all these emotions and thoughts crash into them at once and kind of overwhelm them.
Yeah.
That was like the sort of grounded, character focused, amazing moment of acting that I was really impressed by, and I think set my tone where I was like, all right, I'm in. Show me what you got. Like
Sure.
I sat
Sure,
back
sure,
and I'm like,
sure.
all right, let's see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. I mean, McAdams is just quite excellent across
Yeah.
the entire film because there's that moment, and then, before that, and especially after that moment that you're talking about, as this sort of clicks for her, she has to play a character that you like, but is kind of clearly unhinged, which I also really love. In that grows and wanes as the sort
It
of
waxes and wanes, Tanner.
those. Thank
It's a
you.
little, that's a
Waxes
little
and
moon
wanes.
reference for you there.
Exactly. As the dynamic between her and Bradley also shifts
Yeah.
because, eventually he has an injured leg, so he's not very active for a lot of the movie, which allows Linda to really gain an upper hand and get her feet underneath her and really come to terms with the fact that that she's trapped on this island and she is like the sole provider for both of them for a week or 2 weeks or however long it takes. And then a lot of the comedy really comes out of him trying to play like machismo catch up to her,
Hmm.
of like striking out on his own, trying to make his own shelter, trying to get his own food, trying to gather his own water or whatever, and him being totally inept in doing so,
Yeah.
and the comedy that comes out of that. And I think O'Brien is also quite
Oh
excellent.
yeah.
Because he has a more simple part to play, I feel, which is that he's like a whiny little bitch boy. Like that's all he is. He can't come to terms with the fact that he is allowing this woman first of all, and also a woman that he does not respect or like at all, to be the boss of him in this setting. Um, and that is funny in itself, but also there's just like little performance ticks and things in the way he says things and looks that he gives. He has this like tittering laugh that he does a lot that just hits every single time. Dylan O'Brien is another one, another actor where I'm like, you know him, you've seen his face. We've seen his face since like Maze Runner 10 years ago or whatever. He was a YA model boy
Sure.
back in the day. And now he's really aged into something where I'm like, I'd like to see kind of where his career goes
Sure.
from here. He was in this movie Twinless last year that I thought
Oh,
I
sure.
wasn't as hot on as everybody, but I thought he was quite good in. And this one is really like he will bend to the genre that Raimi is trying to pitch at him here,
Hmm.
and McAdams does so as well to a much greater degree. But this is a two-hander ultimately,
Yeah.
and both hands are firmly on the handlebars here.
Yeah. I also think he's great. I think uh once again it's these moments of wordless acting of the because he's also in a very interesting scenario,
Mhm.
obviously, but that he it seems like over the course of the movie he's often trying to fight his instincts to be a dickhead, but he keeps letting
Yeah.
it slip out. And so you get
Hmm.
these moments where he's like giving her a like snide glance or something, and then his eyes like will soften like a tinge. He's like, but actually she is helping me, and then
Yeah.
and like there's this like cycle where he's like he is growing, he is becoming a more understanding person. The two of them do come to a better understanding of one another across the course of the movie, and you can see
Yeah.
how challenging that is for him. As someone that, as we come to learn, is just has not had like true connections in his life, was not raised by parents that particularly cared about him, has this sort of animosity that he feels like he has to be in charge in order to get anything out of his life, and so I think it's from on a performance level, it feels like Linda is a more empathetic person. She's a more caring person. She's doing this because she does think it's the right thing to do to make sure that he's alive. Okay, there's other motivations that we will get to,
Hmm.
but seeing him like challenge himself to not think the way that he always has is actually like again very interesting character work of someone who must challenge their thought process and the way that they treat people.
Certainly. Um, so yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that makes me laugh across the entire movie too. Like, I do want to hammer home with all the character stuff that we're talking about that this is a like horror comedy. Like,
I honestly almost don't think it's a horror movie. I think it's just
sure,
a
fair
thriller
enough.
that has like moments of like, oh, like, they're drugged or dreaming or whatever, and it's
Yeah,
scary.
there's over the top violence, and as I mentioned, he sneaks a ghoul woman in there
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff like that. So it has that Raimi horror tinge to it, that
yeah.
streak to it.
Just a
But is
touch,
yeah,
just a sprinkle.
more of a thriller, I would say. But also, again, quite funny, which all of
Sure.
Raimi's movies at their best kind of are.
Hmm.
Especially when he's operating in this manic kind of zone. Drag Me to Hell is a very similar kind of sense of humor, where it's a lot of gross out stuff, a lot of heightened characters acting ridiculously, actors turning it up to 11, and that is all running throughout Send Help as well.
Yeah. Well, that comes in sort of fits and spurts though, because again, I think that
Yeah,
this movie
certainly.
for me is at its best when it isn't cranked up to 11. When I'm like, oh,
Sure,
this
sure.
does feel like a believable character dynamic. One of my favorite like character elements of Linda specifically is how giddy she gets, and like
Yeah,
because she's a like a quirky middle-aged woman at the end of the day,
yeah.
and so when she like starts a fire or like hunts the boar or whatever, and he goes,
She does like
yay,
a
and she
she
like
does like
does
a
like this
stupid little
thing.
dance or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
and I'm like, God, like I've never seen a character in a scenario like this act like that. Like she just
Yeah,
like
she's quite
finished a fucking like crafts project ostensibly.
yeah, it's she's doing something differently than like Tom Hanks in Castaway or whatever, which is obviously this movie has a lot indebted
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
But he is like celebratory and like man creates fire when
Yeah.
he gets it
Whoa!
in that film.
Ah! But
Exactly.
does it, and her celebrations reflect the fact that she's a very different character in this
Yeah.
situation, and that while she is talented at being a survivalist and she has all these skills and knowledge, she also is like she likes knitting and tuna fish and her bird. Like she is a dorky woman. Like this is
Yeah,
a kind of character you don't see in these kind of scenarios.
definitely.
Which I think is
Definitely.
again like where I'm just like sold on this movie. It is like,
Hmm.
yes, I've seen people surviving on islands, movies and TV shows and all sorts of stuff. But I haven't seen a movie that this focuses on this kind of unique character ending up in this sort of scenario.
Now, Tucker, I have a question for you. Do you support women's wrongs? Specifically
Tanner,
Linda's
Tanner,
wrongs in this
I
film.
don't
Yeah?
support anyone's wrongs. I think we should all treat
Whoa.
each other well.
Whoa, so you don't think that Linda was in the right for, killing those two people by pushing them off the cliff? Spoilers for Send Help as I'm gonna try and pivot into the third act here.
But yeah, let's talk about the third act.
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
it it lowers my estimations on the movie personally.
Really? Okay,
Um,
okay.
because while there are these moments of her being unhinged, to me this whole turn of her being a much more conniving person and a much more malicious person than the
Mhm.
movie has really shown up to this point. Uh, because what we have seen up to this point that do hint at this is that she's not ready to leave. She's not
Right.
telling Bradley the truth. She knows that there is opportunities of rescue, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm ready yet." And that to me, again, that feels grounded and believable to a certain degree, where it's like she's happy here and she doesn't want to give that up, and like that push and pull I find interesting. What we come to learn by especially the very end of the movie that this has all been according to her fucking master plan, and
Uh-huh.
actually she was gonna become like a CEO the whole time, and all this shit, and there was a house, and
Well, I
she
don't know if
knew.
I don't I don't know if that is what I get from that necessarily. Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess this third act is kind of complicated, and maybe doesn't fully stick the landing for me.
Just to wrap up what we're saying, to go into
Sorry,
what you're
yeah,
saying,
sorry.
is that it feels a little bit shock value-y to me, where I'm like, the progression of this and the character that I thought I knew up to this point, I don't feel like like neatly progresses into this. It feels like a twist
Hmm.
for twist's sake rather than something that was more earned. Ultimately, you know, whatever. Have a fucking fun ending to your movie. That doesn't like piss me off too much. But especially when she
Hmm.
like starts getting like super violent, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't buy that from this character that has been like
Hmm.
caring and like, so is the caring part like more of a lie? Is that like a facade? I
So
don't really know.
this is a bit of the complication that I feel about. Is that like ultimately what are her feelings on like in her perfect world of what she wants to craft this island to be? Like what is Dylan O'Brien's role in that? Like does
Hmm.
she want to live alone on this island? Is
I don't
that
think
what she
so.
wants?
No, I don't
And
think
like
so.
does she want him to be like, like like her, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, not like servant or whatever, but like servile to her, basically,
So
that like
it's like a
she is the
servant, yeah.
perfect. Yeah, well, see, she's not
Kind
like
of though.
she's not making him do things. She
Yeah, that's
likes the
true.
idea that she
Yeah,
is providing for him,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that she is providing for the both of them, I guess technically.
Tanner, she
She
wants to
lives
be dominant. It's not really
exactly.
about what his feelings are on her, but the fact that
Hmm.
he respects her, and
Yeah.
doesn't fight back is kind of what she's looking for.
Yeah. And there's some questions of like with that in mind, with the words that we're using, especially there is a question of like romantic, being romantic, or perhaps some sexual dynamic
Yeah.
going on there that the movie doesn't really get into at
No,
all, but
there's
like
touches of it,
feel
but not
yeah,
much.
it bubbles up and then goes away quite quickly, I
Yeah.
would say. Sam Raimi is quick to diffuse that kind of
Hmm.
thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, so I am a little bit more I'm a little bit more bought into this simply because like underneath all of their interactions, save for a few, like this very honest conversation they have one night when they get drunk on the beach or whatever, is is just this undercurrent, this broiling point of like if given the opportunity, especially Bradley, Dylan O'Brien's character, will cut and run. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he gets the opportunity, he wants things to go back to the way they were, and you don't really fully get the sense that he has earned a full new and honest respect for Linda.
No.
And so
Yeah.
she recognizes that. And so she does not want things to go back that way either. And so ultimately these things must come to a head,
Hmm.
of these characters being violent towards one another. And Dylan O'Brien, Bradley does start that by like poisoning her, attempting to kill her,
Hmm.
even though he kind of like laughs that off. He's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I wasn't trying to kill you, ha ha ha." Except I definitely was, as he like builds his raft and get off the island or whatever. Um, so that's where I think that starts, which is why I'm a little bit more bought into Linda fully kind of getting unhinged and not wanting things to go
Hmm.
back to the way
Hmm.
they were, and herming and hawing certainly overkilling Bradley's fiance and this Thai
Yeah.
tour guide, boat
Yeah.
captain or whatever. And ultimately, I am ready for a Sam Raimi shift in the third
Sure. Fair
act.
enough.
I'm
Yeah.
ready for some stabbing, some
Yeah.
hair pulling, some eye gouging. I'm ready for that
Well,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
because there's I honestly think that for me it is so this whole the third act's actually quite extended. Is that
Yeah,
there's I think the real moment is when she gets poisoned and she's vomiting a bunch, which is
yeah.
that's that touch of Sam Raimi like gross at them, like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm into
What
that. It's like funny.
Rachel McAdams vomits into the camera like four times.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
It's
and
pretty
also
good.
it's a good like scene
Oh.
twist is like she's giving him CPR and also puking all over him. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's fucking
It's
fun.
some
You
nasty
got
stuff.
me.
Yeah.
You got me, Sam. And then and I like that. That feels like decent progression. And then I also
Hmm.
like the him or her poisoning him back and sort of like
Yeah.
putting him in his place in this like fake castration. I like that scene actually quite a
Yes.
bit.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little bit of a gap. She ends up finding his fiance and this tour guide. They die.
Hmm.
Uh, and then she has like this nightmare of like this is like haunting her.
Mhm.
Which again,
That's where the cool woman is. Yeah.
the progression of this, okay, this makes sense. She's like,
Yep.
from what I know of the character, she's not an aggressive, violent person, largely, and so this would haunt her. The fact that she does know she could have saved them, and then that's weighing on her.
Mhm.
But then he goes off into the woods. He's like
Yep.
pouting, and she's pouting. She's having like 6 day. He goes off in the woods and finds her hand sticking out of the sand,
Yeah, his
which
fiance's hand.
which
Yeah.
which I was like, okay, and at this point I was like, oh, I don't know exactly what it is, but I felt a little bit of a like a tonal shift there, where I'm like, I
Mhm.
feel like we skipped a step, and then then him like charging back, and then this is where shit just goes completely fucking haywire.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the real moment where he goes off the walls is when he tears her hair and it like rips off a chunk of her skull or
Uh,
fucking scalp or whatever, and I'm like, okay, there's Sam Raimi, and I'm
yeah,
like,
he's
like,
arrived.
and again, this is very much a subjective tonal thing, but I don't find this entertaining. I don't find it funny. I just find it kind of cringe. And so when essentially becomes obviously very Evil Dead inspired, but like
Mhm.
cartoony violence of them like bipping and bopping and like and like stabbing and gouging and all this shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
I thought this was like a more believable character focused movie, and now you're just fucking like turning the Looney Tunes on it. Like it just
Like, if you want to, Sam Raimi has made his believable character focused movie. It's called A Simple Plan. It's really good. You can go watch it. But that's obviously an outlier in his
yeah,
filmography.
yeah, yeah. And of course, to your point, like
Mhm.
this is what you expect. This is his style. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. I don't think it works with this movie that up to this
Sure.
point I've been really enjoying.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Understandably. Yeah, and then there is the ultimate final twist that, in fact, this is not an abandoned desert island or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a Wall Street billionaire's mansion on this island where she scavenged this knife from that she says washed up on the shore. And I like that where she teases Bradley. He's like, "You think a knife just washes up on the
Yeah, that
shore?
doesn't
How
make fucking
dumb
sense.
are
Yeah.
you?"
Yeah, I like that
Um,
moment.
and this is where their final standoff is that she knew this the whole time and she's been taking resources from this house essentially, and they have their standoff here where you think that Dylan O'Brien's has the upper hand on her and has like talked her off of a ledge or like lulled her into a bit of a state where he can take the gun from her and shoot her, but in fact she planned for this. And this is where, yeah, it really shifts into like, what was Linda's plan the whole
Exactly.
time?
Yeah,
Like, what
yeah.
did she want this to be? And the ending is very, she has become a multimillionaire off the back of writing a book about her experience, and they're gonna
Hmm.
make a movie out of it or whatever.
Yeah.
We see her golfing and driving a convertible on the Mediterranean Sea or
Hmm.
whatever. So, yeah. Again, I think the movie had earned enough goodwill with me up to this point for
Yeah,
me
sure.
to pretty easily skate over this stuff. But if you kind of dig into it, you're like, yeah, like I would have. Yeah, I think there are some perhaps leaps that are taken here.
Yeah, because I feel like to me, I would have maybe wanted a little bit more of this zaniness, a little bit more of this conniving energy from her to be implanted in the earlier sections of the movie, so I didn't feel like it was a complete tonal shift when things went sideways. My problem is not that Sam Raimi does wacky shit, and my problem is
Hmm.
not that there is a well, I mean, it is that there's a wacky ending to this movie, but that the two halves don't meet cleanly for me into where it feels like I shift into a different movie almost when we hit that sort of crazy third act violent section. Um,
Sure.
and so I just wanted to be a little more totally consistent throughout the
Yeah.
movie, and maybe feel that build up a little bit more, which again
Yeah.
is there, but
Again,
not.
yeah, I would say that like again, Rachel McAdams' performance does a lot of that heavy lifting for me. That like I can buy that she takes this totally unhinged turn, in that she is always that we as the audience are always kind of underestimating her capacity for like strategy and planning and
Yeah, sure.
conniving and violence
Yeah,
and
fair
stuff
enough.
like
Yeah.
that.
Well, really, at the end
So
of the day, we're all the CEO, the SL CEO.
I said Tucker, that's so true.
That's so
That's so
true.
true. Tucker, I'm gonna give this one a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, I'll say 8.2 out of 10.
Sure, sure.
Had a good time with it. Really do recommend. Seems to be doing okay at the box
Yeah,
office,
pretty
and
good.
yeah, I hope Sam Raimi finds his flow again because it really has been a long time since he's been able to like
I'd love him.
pluck
He's
away.
done his time. He's done his time in the mines. He's even gone back to the MCU at this point. Let him cut loose. Let him make like one of these every other year. Okay, he's earned his fucking stripes at this point.
Yeah, let him and Shyamalan sort of like trade off years.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching our review of Send Help. I'll see you next time.